Hi, and welcome to H3 TV, where we share hope, health, and happiness because we could all use a little more hope, health, and happiness in our lives. A little over a year ago, I started thinking about how can I give back? How can I be helpful to the community at large without charging you, without selling you my presentation or my coaching? And I thought, what if I come to you every Wednesday with H3 TVs, where I share H3 cultures, and I always bring in a guest to be interviewed to share their thoughts on how to stay hopeful, how to stay healthy, and how to stay happy. I know recently I got an email from someone that was reading my book, and she was really feeling overwhelmed by life and by all the images that we have to put forward that we're okay when sometimes we don't feel okay. She wrote me a beautiful email, and it reminded me that my main goal in life is to help others, whether I do it through presentations, through coaching, through interviews on H3 TV. My joy in life is making sure that I help inspire, encourage you to live a hopeful, healthy, and happy life. So please help me welcome my new friend, Elaine, who's going to share with us her tips on how to get and stay healthy. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, Annie. Great to be here with you.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me. Tell me a little bit about who are you, Elaine? What do you do? Where are you from? What's going on with you?
My name is Elaine Pasqua, CSP, so Certified Speaking Professional. I live in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, just about 30 miles north of Philadelphia. And I have been a professional speaker for 25 years. Before that, I was a dental hygienist. I've had a number of different careers, but health and public health has always been very important to me. I have spoken at more than 700 colleges across the country. I have worked with 31 professional sports teams. I've worked with countless businesses and associations, and I've also done training for the military and work with parent groups and high schools. So I talk about positive choices, whether it's health, whether it's healthy relationships, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, sexual assault, sexual health. I'm often called the sex lady. And I also have done work with effective communication and how to build a respectful culture within a workplace to help companies be more efficient, to help companies be able to bring their workforce together so they can be more profitable.
Awesome. Thanks, Elaine. Thanks for letting us know a little bit about you. You know, after owning gyms for 12 years, what I recognize is that health is so much more than physical. So as we get started talking about health, what I want to think about is, what area of health do you think about? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it mental? Is it relational? Is it career? Is it spiritual? Is it financial health? What area of health do you really like to think about, focus on when you talk about health?
Everything that you listed, they're all interrelated. But I think the number one priority is physical. Because think about how you feel on a day when you have the flu. You're down for the count. You can't focus. You can't do anything. You're just not motivated or accomplished or whatever. And so if you don't have your physical health, everything else becomes a challenge. And so I prioritize that, but everything else comes under that umbrella.
Awesome. So do you have an area of health personally that you're working on right now? We're at the beginning of 2022. People are setting new goals. What area of health are you working on or thinking about right now?
Well, I think, health has always been so important for me. So it's not like I am starting to work on something new. This has been a continuum of mine for decades. I'll be 67 years old on January 24th, and people look at me and they go, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." I weigh 105 pounds. I'm 5'3". I'm really fit, and it's because I don't sit still, and because I wrap my head around my health every single day, and I incorporate it in everything I do. And so it's movement, it's diet. I eat such a clean diet. It's spending time outside. It's feeding my brain. All of this stuff. But again, it really comes down to the physical health first. I tell people, and when I talk to my audiences, honor your body. Treat it like it's a temple because it's the only one you have. And if you're good to it, it's good to you. This is my vessel to get me through life. And so again, if I'm good to it, I have my quality of life. And I can run circles around people who are 40 years old.
But we know too, I appreciate your other areas because I know the number on the scale can really mess with people. And we know that health is so much more than the number on the scale. So I like that you do the well-rounded, all the different things. But I do think how we treat our body matters because, like you said, it's the one we get. It's the only one we get. And so I was thinking, you said movement. I got my beach hair today. I forgot to say that. I just
I
came
love
from
it.
the beach, and I love my beach walks. And it sounds like, Elaine, that I'm very active too. I love that you're saying, hey, I like to move my body every day. I don't just sit around, I move. So when you're working with an individual client or with an audience, what do you like to coach the most on? Like, because people get so like, everything can be out of whack for them. Where do they start? And where do you really feel inspired when you speak to them and they come back to you and they say, Elaine, this is what I'm doing because of your message, because of your teaching? What do you like to do?
I think there's two areas that I like to focus on. The first is movement, and we can incorporate movement into our day-to-day activities. You talk to my husband, you talk to people that see me in my home, they think I'm nuts because I incorporate exercise into my daily activities. So when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm doing leg lifts to try to keep my rear end back where I want it to be, not where gravity is trying to take it. I do squats when I blow dry my hair. When I'm at my desk, I'll take time, I'll stand up, I'll do arm circles. I have an exercise ball in my office. If I'm on a long call, I have a headset. I will sit and I will exercise my thighs. I have 8-pound weights. You don't want to go too heavy because you don't want people hearing you breathe heavy in the phone, because then they'll think there's something wrong with you. And so, but when I'm on the phone, I will lift my weights. I'll do this. And, you can just incorporate exercise all day long. I walk up so many of my friends are like, we have to get 1-story houses now because we're getting old. No, you don't. Run up the stairs, run down the stairs. Who needs to go to the gym? Save money. I garden. I spend 5 hours out in my garden. That's my gym. I take steps, 2 steps at a time. So I want people to just think about ways that they can incorporate exercise to keep their bodies fit. Now, I know people have injuries, so, we do have limitations. I don't want people to push where they don't have to, but you can maybe work with isometrics. I walk at least a mile a day because psychologically, people get more benefit from exercising outside than they do from inside. Then the second pillar is diet. And you are what you eat. And there are certain things that just are not good for the body. Sugar is one of them because sugar actually hurts the immune system. It actually causes inflammation in the body. And so I found when I eliminate sugar, when you eat it again, you suddenly realize how toxic it is to your body. And I eat such a clean diet. We don't eat any processed foods. We eat lots of raw fruits and vegetables. Fish, I am a vegetarian, but that's people's personal choices. And my diet is so clean. It's hard to find foods that don't have sugar in it. Try to find a cereal that doesn't have sugar in it, even the granolas. So I eat Ezekiel and I eat it with yogurt, and I pick my blueberries every year because I grow my own blueberries, and I eat bananas and blueberries and either almond milk or yogurt for breakfast, and have a phenomenal lunch. And, our dinners are amazing too. So get rid of America has been putting on the pounds over the years. And we're now seeing increases in heart disease. We're seeing increase in diabetes. And so we need to be aware of soda is high caloric, high sugar. So put something in your body that's going to benefit your body, as opposed to something that's going to be harmful. If you can wrap your head around that, you will find that your energy levels are going to increase. Your concentration is going to be that much sharper. You'll sleep better too. And that's another pillar that we should be looking at too.
That's right. Sleeping is so important. For those listeners that know me, you know that I'm probably an orange M&M if I am what I eat, because I do like sugar. I don't believe any food is bad, but I think we all have to have our own path to get to that healthy. So I'm not very rigid with specific things, because I think different people process different. And I love that you broke it down, Elaine, and you said, sometimes it's just moving my arms. Because one thing I always like to think about with my listeners is we can be so self-critical. We can, maybe we have bad eating habits, maybe we have no movement. So always just start with that baby step. And I love what Elaine said. She said, she just does these one little intentional things. Now, some of us are sitting in an office all day, and we're a single mom with 5 kids, and who knows what your story is out there. But I want you to think about having grace with yourself, whether it's in your movement or it's what you're eating. Now, Elaine has, like she said, This was not a decision yesterday. She has been working on this for decades. She treats her body very much intentional with how she eats and what she eats. I'm trying to be more intentional with what I eat, but I do love sugar, and I've learned that I don't have to eat sugar. And I think there's freedom when you take back that you have the power to say yes or no to food. So you taught some really intentional things. She grows her own blueberries. That's a kind of a simple, fun thing, depending on the
My
kind
own
of.
lettuce. I'm still harvesting my own lettuce, and I just did my last of my lettuce just the other day because I cover it up when it gets cold. I still have spinach and kale that's out there growing.
I
So,
love it.
and,
And another
and
thing
with
you said,
sugar, it
Elaine.
doesn't mean that you don't. If I go someplace special, and there's a wonderful dessert, I will eat it, and then I won't eat sugar again for you. So you should have grace and don't be
Grace.
quite so rigid. Go easy on yourself, and gradually, even with exercise, I do 20 to 30 push-ups a day, and I don't do the regular push-ups on my toes. I do the modified where they're on my knees because I
Love
know
that.
what my limit is. But it was amazing to see the difference in my arms. Now, when I first started off, I could get through 5, and then the
Yes.
next day 6, and then the next day 7. So again, go easy on yourself, and you'll be amazed when you see how you can build up to this.
And one thing you also said, Elaine, is you said you have a delicious lunch and dinner. And so, what I'm going to ask you when we get done with this show is if you would share one of your favorite recipes in the comments. I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to eat clean. Nothing tastes good. I don't have fun. How can people be a vegetarian? What do they enjoy? So, if you'd be willing to share one of your favorite recipes in the comments, I think our listeners would love that because people need a baby step of where to start, right? How to get there. So, what are you kind of already said this, but are there 3 to 5 specific things that you do to maintain your health? 3 to 5 really specific things, that you do personally.
Well, and I guess I did say a lot of it is that I intentionally incorporate exercise every day to keep up my energy level. And if you find that your energy is getting low, we have a circadian rhythm of the body, and usually in the afternoon you're going to see that you're going to crash between 2 and 4 o'clock.
Yes.
So if you start to feel that coming on, you could take a nap, and naps are good for people too. 15-minute nap is very good. They find that people who take naps have lower rates of heart disease, and they're more intellectually, they're clearer, they're sharper. But what you can also do is if you feel that energy level going down, get up, do 25 squats, and it's amazing. You can feel that oxygenation and that oxygen circulating around, and your energy level goes up again. So I move, I eat really, really well, and I think socialization is good for health too, and that's concerning me. I didn't mention that, but we are humans are meant to be connected, and we have been slowly disconnecting because of technology. So I'm not talking about socialization like this with your device in your hand. I'm talking about you being with people, laughing with people, looking at them face to face. Because when they look at people that live in the countries that they call the blue zone, these are people that have longer life expectancies. They have Mediterranean diets, they exercise, they like wine, and they socialize a lot. That socialization is so good for us, and I think that we need to be intentional with that as well.
I love that. Elaine, you sound like you are pretty disciplined about staying on track and focused with treating your body right, eating right. But I know many people feel overwhelmed in life right now and distracted and disrupted and all these things. And things happen, right? No matter how designed our life is, things disrupt us. So what do you do when you have a distraction? Say you're out on the road traveling from flight to flight, from conference to conference, speaking, and every 2 hours at the conference they offer. I think about that time when you talk about the low rhythm. I think it's sleep, Snickers, or coffee time. And if you just change that to squat, like let's just squat instead of it. But when you are at a conference and there's snacks every 2 hours and desserts with every meal, it's hard, right? So what do you do when you are super busy or you're supporting someone else who's sick or going through a tragedy? How do you refocus or stay focused? What is something simple we can do? If we're feeling overwhelmed and we don't know where to start, what do you do and how can we do something simple?
Take a walk, get outside. Best thing for reset. I've had a lot of trauma in my life. I've had a lot of extraordinary losses in my life, and being a caregiver, on multiple occasions. Really, really challenging. Two parents I lost to AIDS-related complications. Took care of an aunt with dementia and her only son who had esophageal cancer, who was paranoid schizophrenic. And you talk about distractions and still trying to keep your business going and getting that all together. A walk outside is the most incredible reset. You can just feel so low, and only just 15, 20 minutes could be enough just to give you that reset and that recharge that emotionally and physically that you need, and do that. Now, you mentioned being on the road. Being on the road can be tough. We both have been through this. Before COVID, I was flying like 65 flights a year, and I would do things to incorporate my exercise. Instead of taking an elevator, I would take stairs up to my room in the hotel. If I felt it was safe enough. As a woman, we have to watch out for our safety too when we're on the road. But I would go outside and I would maybe just do a couple laps around a parking lot just to get fresh air. So if you're at a conference and you're feeling that 4 o'clock lull and you don't want to eat the sugary snacks that they're putting out, step out front and just pace back and forth for a little bit. Get that fresh air. Makes a difference.
I love it. And when you talk about it, Elaine, your face lights up because you know what happens to your body. You know how, like, I could have the Snickers or I could just do a quick walk. I could do this, and keeping it simple. Like you said, it doesn't have to be major. It can be a short walk, 5 minutes, 10, 15, 20. Frederick saying hi to us, and great morning. Hi, Frederick. Thanks for listening. And so, yeah. So Elaine, I love the things you're saying. So the next question is kind of one I always think about is your health something that you get by choice, by chance, or by circumstance?
I think it's a combination. Definitely by choice. Number one by choice. But there's also genetics. And so there are certain things that we don't have control of, but there's a history of esophageal cancer in my family. Mm-hmm. And I made a choice to stop drinking alcohol when I was 30 years old because I started to get the symptoms of the severe heartburn. And so you can take what is given to you genetically, but you can try to do your best preventively. We don't always have control over it. We don't have control. I don't want you to beat yourself up because you've gotten certain things. But heart disease, my dad died on a tennis court when he was 49 years old of a heart attack. So I don't eat red meat. I've done things to maintain my cholesterol and things like that. So there are things that are handed to you, but you can have control over them.
I love that. I think those are really important tips too. Like my in-laws have they have the same form of cancer in their family. I didn't know it was alcohol related. I've recently read more and more about, and even though I am a sugar lover, so I'm not judging any sugar people out there, but heart disease, almost more important to get rid of the sugar in our lives than the red meat for heart disease. Just been reading a lot of articles of different things. And I always think, move at your own pace. A lot of people are doing dry January. I'm really celebrating that with people because I think drinking has just become so easy and so social. So I respect you so much for just saying, hey, I took as much as I could into my own hands. It doesn't mean you get to control the outcome, but you're doing your part. And I think sometimes we give up because we have a family history. So if we can just do a little bit to do our part, it doesn't mean it's a guarantee, but you have a better chance. And
and I don't want people to think that they shouldn't be drinking. I want you to be aware of your body. And so I was aware of the fact that anytime I took a sip of alcohol, I would get severe heartburn. I could feel it. Not everybody has that. So drinking in moderation is good. I mean, they say that wine is very healthy for people, but I've got this family history. I just had a teleconference with my gastroenterologist this morning about my esophagus, and diet controls it. People that are drinking a lot of soda is not good for the esophagus. If you lay down on a full stomach at night, like I have to eat early because you don't want your stomach full 3 to 4 hours before you're laying down, or you want it emptied for that time. So there's certain things that you can do to prevent the esophageal cancer. No chocolate, no caffeine, no citrus. So every once in a while, I'll take my little piece of chocolate, just a little nibble, just to give me that satisfaction. Go, oh, God, that tastes so good. I love my dark chocolate. So.
But that's good. I mean, these are great, helpful tips for a lot of people out there listening. So, and you're right. It depends on their own health, but These are, even if you can do these few things, it's good for me to know. So health can be confusing. Like, do I have to do everything? And I think what happens for people working in the gym and owning them and talking to so many clients, like, oh, fine, I have to work out every day. I can never have fun anymore. I can never go out. I'm like, no, 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 no. And so I think keeping it simple and keeping it small can help people make progress and get to their own. Do I feel better when I do squats or have a Snickers? Do I feel better, when I drink a pop or a soda pop or a drink water? What does that feel like in my own body? How can I adjust just one step at a time? So how
Or
would
even just incorporating it recreationally. I'm sorry to interrupt. Take a weekend and go for a hike in the weekend. Go for a hike in the woods. If you live in the city, go to the park and walk around, or just walk up and down the city streets. I mean, just walking is so beneficial for us. So it doesn't have to be going to the gym, dressing in that outfit that everybody's going to look at you in, and oh my God, I got to get on the elliptical and I got to do this many. No, don't pressure yourself. Just relax, go with it. Just keep moving in any way that you can.
I love that. I think that's what I was going to ask you is like, how do you keep it simple? What's just one thing? But I think that's the first step. Get up and move. And sometimes I say to people, all you have to do is circle your island in your kitchen. All you have to do is take one flight of stairs a day. Like, we start, and then you feel better. And then it's like, I could take 2 flights of stairs. I could do 10 laps. I could walk outside. I could, build on your wins. So start with something, but move your body. I think that's the underlying. If we're going to stay focused on our health, do something to move. Is that right?
Yes. And I'm an avid gardener. I have people that follow me on social media. I mean, they see my gardens. My gardens are incredible. I can be out there 5 hours a day. And it's people that garden and that's one of the things that they see in the Blue Zone too. And it's gentle exercise. You're reaching, you're stretching, you're bending, you're squatting, you're pruning, you're working, all sorts of muscles. And before you know it, it's not intense, and it's beautiful. And you're in nature, you're hearing the birds, you're seeing all these flowers, you get all this. So that's another way that you can incorporate exercise. Even if you have a patio garden, you're tending to it. And it's a nurturing thing that brings beauty into your life as well.
So you've kind of told us some of the things you do. You've told us kind of some of the reasons why, but I hear in your voice, which we haven't specifically talked about, but when our parents die young, it can make you, or when you have someone you love that's unhealthy, it can be a motivator for people. Sometimes when people came to my gym and they said they wanted to lose weight, and I'd say, why? And they'd say, oh, I think I should weigh 100 pounds or 150. I'd say, who cares? But when they said, I care about my heart and we have heart disease, or I care about my brain and we have dementia, or I care about, well, then it got bigger than that number on the scale. And so what do you want to leave our listeners with about health? Why are you so passionate about it in a world where it's much more common to say, I'll deal with that tomorrow? Why are you so passionate, not just today, but every day and for decades, not only for yourself, but speaking to others to encourage them to be healthy in many areas of their life? Can you tell us about that?
I like to motivate people and inspire people to have a good quality of life, because we all have so much to give. We all have so much to accomplish. And again, if you don't have your health, then all of that potential goes by the wayside. And, I was only 22 when my dad passed away. He was only 49. He had so much life to live. He smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and that's probably what did him in. And so, it's just honoring your health and knowing that it's really important. And this is why I like to motivate people, to let them know that they can have that quality of life. They can maintain it, because I've seen this, and Annie, I know you probably have too. We see so many people who are not living well, and they're not happy because they haven't taken care of their bodies. And it's not a difficult thing to do. It's just having the mindset and just incorporating it into your day-to-day activities. And you'll find that you're going to feel great.
And sometimes listening to H3 TV to get those like ideas and reminders and like encouragement. Like, people need to be encouraged. And a lot of people feel alone. I like to teach a formula on finding your purpose. And it's that your pain turns into passion, which is fuel in your body. And if you use that passion, that pain, that fuel that sometimes physically hurts, but definitely emotionally hurts, for your purpose, you can change the world. And so, Elaine, like, losing your dad so young was painful, but it created an energy and a fuel in you that you are using for your purpose, not only to take care of yourself and your body, that's a temple, but to serve other people. And I love that you're doing that. I love that you're taking the loss of your dad, and instead of sitting in that pain, you're saying, what can I learn from it? And not only what can I learn for myself, but what can I use from it to teach other people? So thank you for.
Well, and I'll just go very quickly, because my journey as a professional speaker began after I lost my mom and stepdad to AIDS-related complications. And I took that story to teach other people that I wanted to prevent other people from going through what my family went through twice. And so that's when I actually started speaking. So my speaking has not been about money. My speaking has been about passion. And the most painful experience of my life took me to the most gratifying. So
Right.
we can take our negatives and turn them into positives. And when you do that, you heal.
100%. You heal and you help other people heal, right? Like, I love that. So did you say you lost your mom and stepdad to AIDS complications?
My stepdad contracted HIV unknowingly from a medical product that he was given in the late 70s that was made from human plasma. And he unknowingly passed it on to my mom, because it typically incubates for 10 years before you see the symptoms. So we discovered 10 years after he received this product that he had AIDS. And of course, sadly, we discovered that he passed it on to her. So we lost him in 1990, and we lost my mom 5 years later in 1995. And the most difficult thing is they did not want anybody to know that they were infected. So we were instructed to not tell anybody. So imagine finding out that both of your parents are going to die and you can't tell anybody. And that's what made me, I sat on her.
What year was that, Elaine?
She died 1995 and he died 1990. And 1979 is when he received that medical product. And so I literally sat on my mother's deathbed about a week and a half before she died. And I said to her, Mom, can we finally share your story and tell the truth? Because if we don't, we're not going to teach people about the prejudices against those with AIDS. Can I finally tell the truth now? And she nodded her head. She wasn't able to speak. So she gave me her permission. So she's not up there going, I told you not to tell anybody. And within a month of her funeral, I called the local health department here in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and it just exploded. And I started with HIV and AIDS, and then I got on the college circuit, and then I started to hear all the other issues that were happening with students, and I broadened my area of expertise to address other areas of health and wellness and positive choices. And it just grew from there.
I love it. I didn't know that about you. I did the AIDS ride in 1999. And so one of my topics is about goal setting. I didn't know anyone with AIDS. I didn't own a bike. I don't like riding a bike, but a girlfriend kind of talked me into and tricked me into, she told me I was overweight. And so I set out to lose weight. But what happened from January that I signed up till the July that I rode into Chicago, Minneapolis to Chicago, was life-changing for me. And I learned so much on that journey. So thank you for sharing that. And it's been a powerful thing and a sad thing to recognize how prejudiced people are and how many people buried people and never were able to tell the truth about how they passed.
I made a panel for the AIDS quilt for my mom, and in DC when it was laid out when I first saw that when my mom was part of it. And all the other people around us whose family members were represented at panels, and hearing everybody's stories and just hearing the prejudices and the discrimination, parents not finding out that their sons were gay until they learned that they died of AIDS, and just all of these heartbreaking stories. I was asked to speak at Broadway when the Normal Heart on Broadway was playing, and I was asked to speak at the cast talkback. So they kept the audience and the cast, and then myself spoke. And I was so overwhelmed when I watched that play. I had my little speech written, and halfway through it, I threw the piece of paper out, and I just said, because the play just brought up so many emotions, because they talked about all the challenges that were occurring during the pandemic in the 80s. And it was just so emotional. So just teach people.
That's right. Education, information, inspiration. We do it all. Elaine, so I'm sure people are loving listening to you and your stories and your wisdom and your inspiration about taking care of ourselves. Yes, it's the beginning of a new year, but let's do it every day, from day after day, week after week, month after month, decade after decade, with grace for those days we mess up or those days we just can't get there, but knowing that it's worth it. But how can they get a hold of you, Elaine? If somebody's like, I want to know more about her, or I'd love to have her speak, or I'd love to work with her on my own health goals, how would they get a hold of you?
I would love that. Well, you can reach me, Elaine at ElainePasqua.com. You can see the spelling there. I can put it in the chat in a minute as well. My website is ElainePasqua.com. I don't know if I give out my phone number. I guess the best way is just to email me. I'm also on LinkedIn, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram too. So you can reach me through any of those. Twitter and I don't do well, but I try. But anyway, but I will.
Instagram and I are not best friends. People keep telling me to be on Instagram. I'm like, you know what? I just like LinkedIn and Facebook. They're like my friends. They're friendly to me. The rest are challenging. I do use Twitter and Instagram too. Well, all right, Elaine, thank you so much for being with us on H3 TV. We will have her add those to the comments, her website and her LinkedIn and Facebook or whatever social media.
Here's my
so
email.
You can reach out to her when you are interested. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Thanks for listening to H3 TV. We appreciate you, and we hope that you not only feel more hopeful, healthy, and happy, but that you will take it for yourself and then go spread it with the world, because we all need a little more H3 in our lives. Take care and see you next time.
Well, everybody. Thanks, Annie.